Hey everybody, we're here at SHOT Show 2026 at the Nocturn Industries booth for our annual interview with Nocturn about what's here, what's upcoming, and all great things here at Nocturn. So we have quite the spread on the table today. I'm going to let Jeff take it away with what's coming up very soon and then what's in development.
Hello, everybody. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for being a huge supporter of us all these years. It's been awesome, and you're the reason that we're able to do all this, along with all of our other dealers, supporters, and customers. So thank you guys. So let's start with the Talon. So this guy is in production right now. We spent a lot of time working on the firmware for this because it has a lot of really cool features that are new to the industry. Most binoculars now, side stow auto pod shutoff is kind of a standard thing now. If you don't have it, you're kind of behind the ball. So now we've taken that a step further and we added that to a monocular. So we have a new J-arm here. And this will work with any J-arm too. If you have a Wilcox J-arm, if you have your J-arm, if you have a Noise Fighters J-arm, this one, the Steel J-arm, or just a standard PVS 14 J-arm, we have a program in here for each of those mounts. It comes default with no auto shut-off configuration. There's a step-by-step process to get into program mode. You put the battery in while you're holding the power button, and then you just turn it, and it'll blink within each program. So what this does is, not only do you get vertical stow shut off, you also get side stow. So when you stow the goggle to the side, it will shut off, and you bring it back down, and it will display in your eye.
Amazing.
And the really cool thing about this is it's even lighter than the original Tonto, and it has an illuminator, manual gain, and adjustable illuminator brightness.
So I'm really impressed with the Talon. I think it's going to be a hot seller because it's going to be a fantastic entry into the world of night vision because most people do start out with a mono. And you guys really implemented some of the changes that we've talked about in terms of the programming and stuff like that behind the scenes to make it so that the programming mode is a little bit harder to access and that when you have this goggle in your hand, you have a really, really incredible and versatile UI. Really enjoy that. Just a few questions in terms of the configuration. So what's the default configuration of this guy going to be in terms of batteries?
It will default with CR123A, but both battery caps will be available to purchase. It's not permanent. The lanyard unloops off of it, and then it's a quick detach, and then you swap it over, and then you have whichever battery you choose.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't actually have to break the purge or break the seal. You just unscrew this little lanyard over here.
No, you don't even have to unscrew it. So this actually, when you undo this, it just pops off.
That's awesome. And it has full features, IR, adjustable IR brightness, manual gain, on off of course, and stow off as well, like this. Does it stow off when you flip it up as well?
Yes, and there's settings too. So if people don't want the side stow, you can just do vertical stow, and if you don't want it at all, you can turn it off.
Okay, so tons of configurations for every kind of setup that you'd want. I really like the side stow because just signature reduction, and sometimes when you're doing something quick, you put it up, you just want to turn off. That's really awesome. So what's going to be the pricing of this guy and the ETA?
I believe the pricing of this is about the same as what the Tonto was.
Awesome.
I don't remember the actual number off the top of my head. And as far as ETA is right now. So
Really?
these have been in production for quite a while now. We've just been waiting on finishing up the firmware for this. That's complete now. So we've been just flashing the program on all of these, and it's good to go. Everything's tested, ready to go, and these are start shipping out as soon as we get back.
Cool. So you will see a full review of this on our channel really, really shortly. I am super excited to get this in our hands and to do our own testing, and I'm sure it'll pass with flying colors, just like every single Nocturne product that we've done on our channel.
And there's one other thing to add. It is a direct EGAC plug-in compatible as well as 3-pad style compatible. This is completely tube and optics agnostic as long as it's 18 millimeter and PVS 14 ICD.
So I'm smiling because we have our builder behind the camera and he's nodding because that will make his job a heck of a lot easier. So that's really great to know in terms of the technical side of things. So we love that here.
I'll move on to the Raptor next since it's the big brother. So essentially the Talon is the little brother. That pod is actually the same pod that's on here. So you have 4 screws, which is common, and it detaches off. But if you were to have a Talon and you wanted to upgrade to a Raptor later, kind of like what we did with the Daisho and the Tonto, but in a much more dedicated bino kind of thing. So you can't just break this away and attach this to a J-arm or anything like that, and you will lose purge. But if you wanted to and you had an upper for the Talon, you'll be able to take that off and put the upper on, and then you'll have a monocular. And you can put it back. You shouldn't lose collimation. However, you will lose purge. So I don't recommend people do that, but people are going to ask. And yes, it's possible, but it's not recommended. As far as controls go, we kept them the same. So you have a single knob that controls your gain. Your power this is a button as well, so you press and hold for power. And then you double tap for illuminator, just like the Manicore. So the controls are very similar to the Manicore, except the gain buttons are now a knob. And then the programming mode for this one is when you are in the stowed position, you can reprogram this so that you don't have auto shut off. So it comes default with no auto shut off. The side stow will always work. That's magnetically activated. You
Right.
can't turn that off. But the vertical stow, that you can turn off or turn on if you wish. And it's 110 degrees in order to activate it. So just looking up is not going to turn the goggle off. You really need to be in some kind of dynamic scenario like shooting under a car or something for it to auto shut off. But those that don't want that feature, you can turn it off. This also has the dual EGAC plug-in or the 3-pad style compatibility, and it's the same chassis as the Manticore. It's a CR123A or AA. We have a cap you can purchase that screws on. There's no other changes needed. Same 00B 2-pin port. And then we did make a big change on our IPD stop, so no longer is this the friction lock system that we have. This is just a wheel, so you turn this wheel, and that controls your stop distance. We like this a lot because it's really low profile. You can roll this with just your thumb, and it stays in place really well.
It's also nice and out of the way, like a traditional IPD stop, like you see on more legacy goggles that stick out the side. They're sometimes a snag hazard, and they're also like a point that if the goggle drops on it, sometimes that causes a lot of force to go into the goggle. So this is really cool. It's nice and low profile on the back, nice and smooth on the side, so you don't have any knobs coming out. I really love that. This guy is also going to have the same programming UI as this guy, right?
Similar, yeah. So the controls are the same, but you don't have all of the different programs needed for a side stow and all that.
Right.
So it's just 2 programs.
It's really just this,
Yes,
and that,
that's it.
and that's really it.
Yep.
Okay, so if you just want to turn off auto pod shut off when you stow it up like that, that's really the only programming mode for this. Otherwise, this goggle is pretty much good to go to the box with all the features that you might need.
Yes.
And this guy also has the adjustable IR illuminator as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's really awesome.
And it comes in at the same price as the Manticore molded.
Oh,
So
sweet.
there's no real price difference between the two.
Awesome. So this guy is also going to be in production, right?
That is in production right now. So
Seems like all the seeds you planted are kind of starting to sprout.
yeah. And now you're going to see these things flying out.
And then obviously we got something that everybody's been waiting for. Maybe that guy? Or do you want to go over this guy first?
We'll do this one first.
All right.
I got to leave everybody waiting in anticipation. A little bit longer.
All good.
All right, so we have the Batpack 2.0, or the mini Batpack. So everybody's familiar with our 4 CR123A battery pack, and a couple SHOT Shows ago we announced a mini battery pack.
Sweet.
Well, this is finally happening and coming to fruition. It is no longer polymer. This is machined CNC 7075 T6 aluminum. We wanted to do that to keep it a little bit heavier. It also helps assembly so that we can make this faster and offsets the cost of the added cost that we had with the polymer system and then the machine cost. So these are going to end up being the same price
Sweet.
as what the original Batpack was. It has a 00B 2-pin port on the top. We have multiple cables available, so you can go to Limo, Fisher, or 00B 2-pin for all our products.
Cool.
And there's no switches on here. It's just plug the battery in and go. That's it. It's very small and compact. The idea here is to take up as little real estate as possible and give you as much power as you can get. So you're going to get 48 hours roughly out of this for a binocular, and on the panoramic goggle you're going to get about 20 to 24 hours.
Sweet. Really like how tiny that is, especially for all the thermal fusion systems and stuff out there. Sometimes people have to run multiple battery packs. So just having a little tiny one like this will allow you to have a lot more juice in a really tiny package. I should really like this guy. It's got a growing on me.
And then now I'll get to the one that everybody's been waiting for about 3 years. This is in production. People are going to start receiving these when we get back. This one here is the limited run we're doing in magnesium. The weight comes in at about 31 ounces. That is with a full magnesium system, with the exception of the bridge, that's aluminum. And then you have RPO 4.0 eyepieces, in which it will remain that, and then 3.0 objectives until the 4.0 is available. Once that's available, we will switch over to the 4.0 objective. The price listed online is supplied with optics and no image tubes. This is coming in at $9,500 MSRP. It's a little more expensive than the polymer one because of the machined magnesium. For those that are going to ask about salt water, this is PEO coated, which is the best protection you can get for magnesium. And it is a magnesium alloy, it's not pure magnesium. These are going to come stock tan, Coyote Brown. And so you get a double coating on that too. So timeline on this, like I said, this is in production now. We brought our first 10 production units here to the show to give out to our dealers and distributors so they can start their marketing and evaluate it.
You'll see it very soon.
Yes, this is real now.
Yeah, it's in our hands. We got it.
Everyone's been really excited and happy about the way the optics perform because of the way this collimates. The front end slides, which gives us a true collimation. You don't get any shear at infinity. Up close, you're going to get a little shear. There's no real way to get around that because of the way optics work. Yeah. But at infinity, 50 feet plus, I'd say you get no shear, and it's a completely seamless image all the way across. You don't visibly see the line between the two images either. It's very easy to build as well, so the dealers and anyone assembling these will be happy. You get about 20 to 30 minutes to build one of these all the way through with collimation. No need to set dioptry, you just drop the image tube in. The objective assembly comes pre-assembled from us, and then you just put the retaining ring in for the tube. There's anti-rotation pins, so your tube's not going to spin on you when you're trying to assemble this. And then you just put your optics on here and you slide it around to line up the image and you're done. It's pretty straightforward. The magnesium one will only come in the CR123A onboard configuration, which is the SOCOM configuration for the bridge itself. We made a couple changes and we went away from the L3 style shoe and we went to a large flat plate with 4 screws. That gives us much more surface area on the pod, so it's much more rigid. And it also has an O-ring pocket underneath that compresses the O-ring so you get a proper seal on here as well. So this is submersion rated as well. So you'll be able to swim with this.
Whoever swimming with that thing is pretty crazy. Yeah. But we got a dude that took your katana out to go cave diving, so maybe he wants to try this guy out too for his crazy adventures. If you're watching this, you know who you are.
So we're really excited about this. Happy this has finally come to fruition. It's been a lot of work, a lot of time. We appreciate everyone who's been patient about this. The polymer one is still slated to be at $8,500. We're trying to actually push the price down a little lower, and that will be available. I'd say Q3 is probably a safe bet. It's just waiting on tooling. Everything's done. It's out there. We're just waiting for the tooling to come back and run, shoot prototypes, make sure it's good, make adjustments, and then get this thing released.
Once the polymer version comes out, so just a few questions. Once the polymer version comes out, is this just not going to be made anymore in magnesium? This is kind of a limited run?
Yeah, so we're going to do another run of the magnesium ones. We're going to keep producing the magnesium until the polymer is available.
Right.
So yes, we will stop making the magnesium one, so it will be limited. However, if we had some kind of large DoD or contract order where they really wanted the magnesium, we would go ahead and make the magnesium. It's just a volume thing. We can't make onesie twosies of that. It would cost absorbent amounts of money.
Still a lifetime warranty and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if this were to get damaged, if you truly wanted the magnesium, we'd find a way to support that. But otherwise, you probably end up moving over to the polymer, and we do something to make the difference up for you, or do something.
And then the bridge is going to be the same for both versions, pretty much?
Yeah, it'll look identical to this.
Yeah?
Yep.
And the polymer version will also come with the
There will be options,
bridge?
so you could do the onboard battery or the push button.
Okay, awesome.
There's some things that we may change or announce as we go, but for right now, this is what we are offering.
But for real, guys, this is actually in our hands. It's coming out really soon. We're actually going to do an amazing, really in-depth overview on this goggle pretty much as soon as we get back to Toronto. So super excited. So just a few technical questions about this guy. What's the FOV of this guy?
100 degrees.
100 degrees. So that's wider than the current GPNVG.
By 2 degrees, I think.
By 2 degrees, okay. However, having looked through the optics of this guy, I can tell you that the eye relief is stellar. That's the one thing with panos that it's really hard to express on camera. Is a lot of times you have it touching like your eyebrow, touching your eyelashes to get an image.
28 millimeters.
Yeah, where this one is using the amazing RPO like 4.0, the NVDN lens set, so you can hold it out to an inch over your eye, and you still get a really good image.
Yes. Yeah, that's another reason why we were waiting. We needed the right optics. We didn't want to just jump into it with whatever was available. We wanted this goggle to really be different.
Awesome. So onboard power, how long will that last on this guy?
Onboard power should get about 10 hours out of it, but it depends on your tubes. So It could be 7 hours, 8 hours. L3 tubes are a little thirstier than other tubes, so it all depends on what you're running in there.
Cool.
And temperature.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have your battery pack, of course. Oh, that's one little more thing. The base plate is interchangeable.
Yes.
So you can take these 3 screws off and pop this off. You won't lose purge or anything like that. And you'll be able to put on a Fisher port, a flat plate if you don't want a connector at all for better clearance, or the stock 00B, which is what it comes with.
And it comes with those plates?
It comes with just the 00B.
00B, okay.
The
so
other plates
you want
purchase and
awesome.
Put on there.
Well, super excited to get this in our hands. I mean, I already have it in our hands, so super excited to get more of a chance to have more hands-on time with it.
And there's one other thing. So the pods, those of you that have the GPMEG bridge, if you have a GPMEG and it breaks or goes out of service or whatever, especially for LE or military, the pod, we have an adapter plate that bolts onto the pod that allows you to put that on the bridge. So your bridge has a longer lifespan. We will continue to support the existing bridges that have the GP shoe. So you'll be able to attach this pod to that bridge.
This shoe design over here is a massive upgrade over the existing one. If you guys have seen a lot of pictures of SF guys wearing the GPNVGs, they always have like an elastic or something like that there to tension it, because that's a part that's very prone to failure. Whereas this one, it's just so much beefier, and it's a gigantic upgrade, structural upgrade over the legacy design. So Again, you guys are thinking of everything. I think the wait will be worth it for this guy, for sure. So future projects, there's some really exciting things on this table.
So I'll try to get through these relatively quickly. I'll start with in the front with 16 millimeter. So we talked about 16 mil a couple years ago, and we made some proof of concepts. We actually ended up making a 11.5 ounce katana.
We have a video of that way back when we visited your factory like 3 years ago.
Yep. That with these optics here that are rendered for just an example or a sample to show the true size of this, our RPO's 16 millimeter design, that will bring the weight down to 10 ounces on a katana, which is, that's lighter. That's 2 ounces lighter than a PVS 14. Talon, I believe it comes down to about, I want to say 5.5 ounces or so. On the Raptor version of that, which is right here, that brings this down to 12 ounces with manual gain and everything. So, we're excited about doing that. And we've confirmed with Photonis that 16 mil is available. So we'll be able to actually produce these and sell these sisters. They've also improved the performance of their image tubes. So 16 millimeter is no longer like stuck at like 1800 FOM. They're getting 2200, 2300 plus FOM.
Yeah, they're getting 4G performance at 16
exactly,
now.
Yeah. So now there's no real argument anymore as far as performance goes. Like you can get a really good performing goggle that's extremely compact and lightweight.
I remember handling your 16 mil prototypes from way back, and I was just astonished with how little they weighed. So long term, that can save you a lot of neck injuries and head injuries over time, which is definitely worth the weight of the investment for sure.
And we're going to develop a 16 mil panoramic goggle as well. That's the main focus. That will be a 22 ounce panoramic goggle.
That's crazy. It's a pano that weighs as much as a bino.
Yes, exactly.
That's nuts.
And a bino that weighs as much as a monocular.
Yeah, and then a mono that weighs nothing. So 16 mil. And also, for those of you guys who don't know, the German military was just awarded the largest night vision contract ever for 16 mil. So this is something that is entering real world use. And I think it's going to be the future for a lot of goggles out here, and Nocturn's always looking forward.
I'll move on to our thermal.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
There's a couple new things going on here that we're doing. So we have a standard Talon here, and then we have a thermal Talon here. We're going to do two different kinds. We're going to have the dedicated system that you get full control of your color palette, you get control of different modes for outline mode and things like that, your gain control and your brightness control, just like any other thermal out there that you're used to. It'll be rifle mountable, so you'll be able to use it as a clip-on. You'll also be able to helmet mount it on a standard PVS 14 mount.
That's very ambitious.
So it's a totally versatile monocular. The other version of it is going to be a drop-in thermal image tube that will fit essentially in any PVS 14 ICD system. And the goal here is to have it so that the gain control adjusts the brightness. We'll have it set at a comfortable gain that we think performs the best. This is something that's more of a lower cost, that has a little bit less features, but is something that can be adapted to multiple systems. These are development projects, so don't expect these to be right away. We want people to understand that everything that we say we're going to develop, and we're going to do it right, even if it takes longer than we intend.
Well, you guys have definitely been doing it right, and the thermal fusion has been our most popular kind of product in video, so the demand for that is, it's quite searing hot, just like the thermals are meant to see. Just a few questions about these guys, and I probably can't get through all of them because there's going to be so many. This will also need a germanium lens in the front. Correct?
Yes, but it'll be, so the way we're going to do it, it's going to come as a package.
Right.
And the germanium, it can't be assembled like a regular PVS 14 where you screw the lens in. The lens has to be bonded to the whole assembly.
Right.
Where the sensor is and all that. So we have some solutions for that. I'm not going to talk about that yet. But yeah, so that's what we're doing, but you will be able to assemble it at your level.
And the big thing for me is going to be it uses a PVS 14 standard rear lens, which is going to make the image fusion to your brain a lot easier because you can collimate the systems on the rear end. So that's a huge thing because a lot of people, they run like a dual band setup with a dedicated thermal monocular on the other side, and because it doesn't use the same lens system, the image doesn't really line up perfectly. Whereas I think if you're using the same lens system on the rear, at least in theory, it should be a lot more comfortable to use. So super excited for this. I saw this on the shelf and I picked it up and I was like, whoa, what is that? That's pretty cool. So really cool to see you guys working on that. In terms of this drop-in unit, I know it's still really in development, but I know thermals, they have a ton of modes, a ton of menus and all that stuff. What's your guys' solution to that in terms of giving people the options? Yeah.
The drop-in unit really won't have options. It'll just kind of just be plug and play. That's the caveat, right?
Okay.
So unless you have a dedicated system that can control those features, that's difficult to achieve obviously all you have is your resistance value for the gain input and then you have your power supply.
Right.
So those are the only things you have to play with, and resistance we can use to tell the controller on board to change the gain or change the brightness up and down, but we can't really do anything other than that. There's no signal that we can input into there. So we're stuck with that for if we want to make it compatible with other systems. But when you go to a dedicated system, then we have full control because now we have a new circuit board in there, we have new programming in there.
Right. Can you add more buttons if you need?
And we can add, well, we'll still do it off of one knob.
It's probably better.
Essentially, you'll be able to hit the button, go into a menu, scroll through the menu, and click and do whatever you need to do there.
Similar to many other clip-ons and stuff on the market.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then one last thing.
This one's crazy.
We're going to do this in a panoramic goggle, and we're going to do this in a binocular. So everything I talk about here will be available for a binocular as well. And this is going to be a true fusion goggle. So what we're doing here is traditionally on a fusion goggle, you have a sensor that's permanently attached to the goggle, and you have your controls that are bound to the goggle. So you're stuck with whatever you've received. There's no future upgradability as sensors get better. You just need a whole new system. What we're doing is we're decoupling all of that. So essentially, you have these modules that plug in via USB-C, and they have a sprung-load clip here so they can snap on. And those will enable the goggle to have whatever that sensor offers.
It's like an optics package for your goggle.
Yes. So, and more than that. So there's more than just sensors. So essentially what we're doing is we have a display that's going to be inside here. We're going to use a waveguide on the interior. And then all that's going to do is receive a video feed in from whatever packages, whatever enabler module is what we're calling them, is attached to the goggle. The goggle will provide power to the module. And then the module will have all of its own controls. And what we have featured here is a TAD from Safran. So essentially, everything that the TAD is capable of doing is what you're going to have integrated in the system when it's plugged in. So it's all, whatever the capability is all dependent 100% on the module that's attached. So the first few things we're going to do is going to be a LWIR, which would be like eCody or TAD.
Yeah.
And then SWIR.
Yeah, SWIR is
which
really
would be like
cool.
the eCozy. And then we're going to attempt to develop a SWIR LWIR combo, which gives you near IR, long wave IR, and short wave IR,
Full IR
all
spectrum.
in one channel.
Yeah.
And you can select left or right, so you're no longer bound to just the right side.
Amazing.
The user can configure the goggle however they need to for the mission set with whatever capabilities they need. And then, obviously, like I said, you have controls on board. So if you want to run SWIR, you select that. If you want to run LWIR, you select that. If you want a combined fused image, what we're going to try to do is blend those images together. It's going to involve some AI processing and stuff. This is going to be a major development effort, so we'll have more to come later on this. But that's the goal and the concept, what we want to do with that. But as far as everything else goes, the eCody, eCozy, that's all existing technology, and we're not reinventing the wheel here, but we're just putting this package together in a way that is better for the end user and enables them better and gives you future upgradability of the goggles so you have a longer shelf life. So as 1280 cores become available and get smaller, you'll be able to upgrade, and the limiting factor is just the display on the inside. So we're going for a high resolution display right out of the gate. And then to add to that, you have ATAC capability, so you can plug ATAC into this, display your ATAC on there with just a little control module that will plug into your phone. So this is the last one, is the FPV drone module. So instead of having to put an FPV goggle on and lose all your situational awareness, you can plug this guy in. It's a video receiver that receives from the drone. And it's also a motion controller, so you get head tracking. So if you have a gimbal on your drone, you can look around, and the gimbal will look around. But you don't lose your situational awareness. You can still see through your night vision. And then teammates can also plug this in and receive the video feed live real time that the pilot sees from the drone, so that when they're doing their job, they can see what the pilot sees, and they can act and react faster without having the delay of having to communicate and all that.
But this is obviously a pretty huge undertaking, like massive undertaking.
Yes and no. So yes, it's a big undertaking. We already have essentially all of our partners in place that we need to develop this. So this is not just it's a concept, they're never going to do it. This is we're doing this. We have all the people we need to do this. And now it's just working together to integrate all this together and actually make it happen. Yes, there's going to be some challenges. We have to redesign the housing to fit the display in there. We're going to have to come up with the firmware that's going to be able to run this. But decoupling these helps because we leave it on the developer of each module to basically feed us a video feed instead of, for example, on the TAD, you're removing the periscope and you're removing the battery supply. We're providing the power, and then they're converting it to a video feed, and then it just feeds video like a PlayStation plugged into a TV.
Right.
Same thing.
So it'll be eye-side fusion. Really good.
And yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it removes the periscope. You don't have that. And it's no longer monochromatic. Now you can do color.
Yeah, it's a much sharper image. You aren't affected by ambient lighting conditions, all
exactly,
that
yep.
good stuff that comes with True Fusion.
That's all we have that's new for this year.
That's all they have, guys. It was a lot of stuff. Really, really exciting stuff. It's good to see Nocturn to be so future forward, especially this guy over here with thermal integration, just tons of integrated systems. Love to see that stuff. And thanks so much, Jeff, for coming out early morning for a SHOT Show.
Thank
and
you, guys.
Doing this video with us. And we will have a full overview on the products coming out very, very soon. So stay tuned, guys.